بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome all of you in our webinar today, which is organized by the Saudi Quality Council. And as you know, SQC is a non-profit organization concerned with spreading quality culture and business excellence concepts to the individuals and entities, either governmental sector or private sector. Once again, welcome all of you. Our webinar title is the Institutionalizing Circular Economy through Quality Management. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our speakers for this webinar. Actually, we have two wonderful speakers, Mr. Sunil Thawani and Ms. Marina Pugacheva. And our speakers, they will share with us their experience regarding to the circular economy concepts, models, practices, and inspiring case studies from around the world. Before starting and giving the floor to our speaker, just to inform our audience, the instantaneous interpreting to Arabic language is available for this webinar. Just you can go to the options down of the Zoom screen and go to the language interpretation and then select Arabic language. And also our speakers will answer the question of our audience at the end of this session. Just if you have any questions, just write it down in the Q&A box, which is shown in the Zoom screen. This is regarding to the interpreting language. Let's start with our speakers now. And it's my pleasure just to introduce our speakers, Mr. Sunil Thawani. Mr. Sunil Thawani is the author and American Society for Quality Fellow and the CEO for the Quality Indeed Consulting Limited. He champions the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2030. He's recipient of the prestigious ASQ Lancaster Medal for his dedications and outstanding contributions to the international fraternity of quality professionals. And for Ms. Marina Pugacheva, Ms. Marina Pugacheva is a senior management consultant, circular economy advocate and enthusiast with the career expanded over several industries, including hospitality, finance, media, and manufacturing. She is passionate about the future of cities and protecting nature and is interested in human behavior in environmental sustainability. Please welcome with us with Ms. Sunil and Ms. Marina, and we are so glad to be with us today. The floor is yours.
Shukran, Mr. Hussain. Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, dear colleagues. You see, this webinar reminds me of my visit to Jeddah in 2011. Thanks to the courtesy of Dr. Ayad Al-Amri and others who had taken Saudi Quality Council to translate my book and launch it during the National Book Series initiative, which I'm very happy to hear you still have about 30 plus books translated and launched. Event was in Saudi German Hospital. So it's my pleasure to be back here among all of you. Now this topic is very, very interesting. You see, it is the domain of two major initiatives. One is quality, other is circular economy. Thanks to the vision of Dr. Ayad and SQC, we are here to share with you how we quality professionals and sustainable professionals can work together to make this world a better place. So here we go together with Marina and myself. Yeah, next.
All right, let us start with a question. What do you think? What is the smartest system in the world that has been existing for billions of years? Here's a QR code on the screen. Please scan it with your phone if you're joining the webinar from your computer. All right, so and if you're watching from your phone, then you can just stay with us. Yeah, this is it's easier to answer if you have your phone with you and if you're watching from the computer. Well, we see already some answers appeared.
Naturally, quality professionals, Kaizen will come first.
That's very good. That's very good. Okay. Any other answers? Please, what do you think? What is the smartest system in the world that has been existing for billions of years? So we are going to see here a word cloud with the answers. Anybody else would like to share opinions? Okay.
Quality management
System. For billions of years, it has been existing. That's excellent. All right. Any other opinion? Let me remind you, we're talking about a bit of sustainability today and a bit of, ecology, environment, and quality management for sure. Okay. Anybody else? Please don't feel shy. We don't see any names on the screen, just your answers. Please, it's very interesting to see. There will be more questions, throughout the webinar, because me and Sunil, we don't like lecturing, we like interactions. Yes. All right, let's wait for anybody else to answer. Okay. Okay, I can see that someone is typing, so let's see.
Wow.
Okay, pharaonic civilization. That's interesting. I've really been interesting audience today.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else? Before we share our opinion, for billions of years, the smartest system in the world. All right, let us share, yeah? Well, we believe it is nature. We know for a fact that humans are relatively young on this planet, right? We know that human civilizations rise and fall, and in contrary, nature has existed for about 3 billion years. And honestly, either with us or without humans, it will continue. Think about it. Nature is incredibly self-sustainable, right? There is no waste in nature. One species becomes food for another species. End of life things go back to soil, right, and work to enrich it to become food for plants and for other forms of life. So the point is, if we know that there is some system that can run successfully, sufficiently, and like forever, we can observe how it functions, right, and learn from it. Isn't that so? And what do we do instead? Here's what we do. We take materials from Earth, we make products out of it, we use them, and we waste them. That's what we call a linear economy model. And the thing is that we use products like all the time. Wherever you are right now at the moment, look around. Just look around yourself. All the items you see, your laptop, your phone, chair you're sitting on, tea you are having right now, building you're in, all of this was produced, was manufactured. And that required tremendous amount of resources from Earth. Now, here is an example. Let me show you. For example, let's say a smartphone, but actually any phone, any item can be taken, So a phone was manufactured, right? For that, we needed materials. Think about it. The average phone contains around 60 different materials. Here are just some of them. Plastic, glass, lithium, silicon, and each of them has its own processing, right? And production processes and it requires energy use and it causes emissions. And before processing, we have to mine them, right? We have to, again, take it from the planet. And every stage we have to transport the items, that again, emissions, use packaging that generate waste, right? And if we eventually open every material that we use for a single phone, it's going to be a huge picture. So, and even when we use the phone, we're still not done with the raw materials, right? Because we need to constantly charge it, that's energy, plus for us to connect to the internet, to network, we have to build the infrastructure, all those towers and satellites. So that's all causes materials extraction from Earth. Honestly, when I learned this, now I look at things totally differently. I see this entire life cycle in every item I hold, I buy, and I see the actual value that product has. Because let's look at the numbers.
See, what Marina just shared of how do we see things differently. When we look at an item, we need to see end to end. We quality professionals are expert at that, end-to-end process management. Now here I just want to share with you, how are we consuming the material? How much we are extracting? You see, on this graph, on the bottom on the x-axis is the year 1972, 2050, and so on. From 2000 to 2016. And here you have the amount of material which we are constantly taking from the earth. We are extracting. Now, just look at this from 1970 to now, the material extraction has multiplied from 28 billion tons to 100 billion tons. This extraction is causing what? There is depletion of resources. Less coal, less limestone, less lithium, less iron. It's causing deforestation. Amazon forest, you can imagine. You look at the world map today, you see the forest is shrinking. Land degradation and so much of pollution associated. Emissions and waste. So this is what actually is happening at the take stage. We take material from the earth. Next step. The next one is to show you our emissions. You see, whenever we mine something, whenever we produce electricity, whenever we extract oil, whenever manufacture anything, there is an emission involved. We transport things, there's an emission. So there's emissions. Now, this is a beautiful website. We quality professionals love data. If you have never visited this site, please do it. You will find indicators, performance over the last 200 years on 3,000 indicators. Now, these annual emissions have risen from almost nil. And then as the prosperity started, you see, after the World War II, the mass manufacturing, mass consumption, it shot up. The annual carbon dioxide emission has shot up from almost 5 billion tons in 1950s to almost 30 billion tons plus. And it is only going up. And this is all part of make and use part of it. Now let's look at the waste part. How much waste are we generating? It ends in the landfill. So this data we searched for a longer time. This is the best we got. In 2016, almost 2 billion metric tons of waste were generated. I remember, passing by one small city in India, the landfill was like a mountain. and I was in another country recently, the smell will go far away, and you'll still find people sorting things out to sell and make a living, actually. And this is all causing air pollution, lungs infection, contaminating the life below sea. So many fishes and mammals and birds we find dying out of eating all these polluted materials, contaminating drinking water. I was in World Conference on Circular Economy in Helsinki. World Bank, one of the top guys were there. She was saying, there's every chance in everybody's lungs, there are particles, small particles of plastic. We are drinking and breathing. So this is the effect of take, make, use, and waste part of it. Yeah.
Again, what is the problem with that? There is an organization called Stockholm Resilience Center. In 2009, they came up with the concept called planetary boundaries. What they did, they defined 9 aspects of nature. Like here you see climate change, land system change, chemical cycles, and so on. And so they defined a planetary boundary for each of them. You see this 0 line? That is the boundary. Now it is important to understand what is the boundary. It is the safe level to support human life on Earth. Now, hear this out, it's human life. Very often, when we hear about sustainability, about environment, we think, well, that's about protecting nature, right? It's about protecting animals because we care for them. Let me tell you, we are still far away from that level. At the moment, we are dealing with our own survival. Okay, so today, 5 out of 9 boundaries have been crossed. Look at climate change. We are 191% above the boundary. That's because of all the reasons we've just discovered. Ocean acidification, 13% above the boundary. So, and everything, it affects marine life, it affects quality of water, quality of drinking water. And so we have drought, hunger, poverty, natural disasters. And this is a paradox, but the one who is responsible for all of it is the one who depends on it the most, us, human beings. So that's to conclude about linear economy. That's where linear economy brought us to. Now let's talk about circular economy. From whatever you heard, whatever you feel, what do you think? What are the main elements of the circular economy? Please rejoin the session if you're out. The QR code is here on the screen again. What do you think? What are the main principles? Is it consume less, use products longer, make it clean, or use again? From whatever you heard about circular economy or what you feel it is. Okay, we have just 7. Okay. Yeah, so, okay. So you've got the answer, which is use again. Okay, so
I think Miss Marina, all of them, I think, and from my opinion, I believe just all of them. Yes.
Absolutely. That's right. It's actually the right answer is all of it. Yeah. So let's talk about it. Now, what is a circular economy? Basically, we want to take that line. You remember take, make, use, and waste. We want to take that line, bend it somewhere in the middle, and to make a circle. So nothing, so things keep circulating inside and nothing goes to waste. Here's the definition. Yeah, it is an economic system that targets zero waste and pollution throughout materials life cycles. Throughout materials life cycles, meaning at every stage, from the idea of the product, during manufacturing, distribution, until end of life, we want zero waste at every stage. So here are the main principles. We want to eliminate waste and pollution. That's clear, right? Second, we want to circulate materials at their highest value. What do we mean by highest value? Let's say, I don't know, you get an order, right? You get a parcel and it comes in a carton box, right? So once you unpack, think about it. The box itself can be used again as a box, right? We very often we think, okay, it can be recycled, but before it was recycled, it can be recycled, it can be reused again as a box itself. That's its highest value, and then only when it's already torn or weak for packaging, then we can use it again as a raw materials, paper, to produce something else, right? That's how we circulate products, and Sunil is going to tell us more about it in a minute. And the third principle is regenerate nature. That means we rebuild soil, right? We return materials to the earth. Think of a leaf, when it falls from a tree, then it feeds the forest, right? And that's what we want to do here as well.
Thank you, Marina. You see, we quality professionals love frameworks, correct? Now, this is the framework of circular economy. This is known as a butterfly diagram developed by Arthur in Foundation. Let me take a few minutes. You see, at the start is materials. Now, there are two kinds of materials. One is biodegradable, like crops, cotton, wood. And then there are other materials which don't biodegrade. For example, iron ore, coal, aluminum, steel, fossil fuels, they evaporate. And then we also have sand, gravel, which we use in construction. So we take the material. You see, this right side, the blue one is, we call it technical cycle, which is about materials. The left one is about for the biodegradable materials. On the right side, if you see, we extract material from earth using energy. We make some components, we make a final product, and we give services for the product, and we sell it to the user. Just take a simple car. We have car components, gearbox, seats, braking system. We make a full car, there's after-sale service. So user is using it. Now you see these small circles coming back. User is now maintaining the car regularly so that they can use it for a longer period of time. I've seen cars running for 200,000 kilometers, 230,000 kilometers. Imagine the value of that. After that, there's another something called reuse or redistributed. Take, for example, there's a country which says a regulation, you can't have cars more than 150,000 kilometers run or 15 years old. So maybe there is another country where the regulation doesn't exist, and these cars are shipped in that country, and they're repaired, maintained, and they are again used for another 50,000 miles and so on and so forth. After that...
Excuse me, Mr. Sunil. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Just to inform our audience, بالنسبة للحضور, إذا في أي سؤال يا أخوان أو أخوات، إذا في أي سؤال أو comments you can يعني كتابتها في جزئية Q&A اللي هي واضحة في أسفل الشاشة، وإن شاء الله يعني Mr. Sunil ومس Marina will answer your question at the end of this session. Thank you, Mr. Sunil.
Shukran, Mr. Sunil. Then suppose the product has lived its full life, let's say drilling machine or a washing machine, in the end, we go to recycling. You see, this is the last phase. But today, when you talk to anybody in this part of the world or anywhere, recycling is the first thing on the agenda. In fact, that should be the last thing on the agenda. You know what? So circles which are closer to the user here, you see, the product is fully utilized. We are not opening the product. The example which Marina gave was a cell phone. You see, the battery, the printed circuit board of its own has no value. It works as a cell phone when they are together. Now, when we are here in the last cycle, we open up the cell phone and start either reusing the battery or we send it to the disposal or the recycling, right? So in circular economy, you see the product and the components are continuously being reused for alternate use, repair, refurbish, and put it to alternate. Take a simple example of a duster at home. You know, I've finished wearing with my shirt. In the end, we convert into a duster. Similar cycle is for biodegradable materials. You know, the food we consume, and then the waste goes back to building compost, or we take out the value out of it and make biogas and feed back into the earth. So bottom line is, in circular economy, we are continuously trying to maximize the value, regenerate the nature, and use the product as much as possible. So we will show you some examples as we go forward. Now comes the quality management part. And this is a great idea of Mr. Dr. Ayad. Let me share with you how the two things work together. You know, this, this diagram we slightly amended to say produce product service, right? Now, we are all experts in helping organizations set up management systems, whether it is business excellence model, EFQM, or whether it is ISO 9000 and so on. Typically, an organization has an external environment in which it works. It has to always know what competition is doing, what are the environmental concerns, what are the social concerns. And then it also has stakeholders, right? From customers to investors to regulators. Now, these requirements, as you see, are already given in our frameworks. 9001 standard talks about understanding the context in which organization is working. Similarly, knowing your stakeholders, measuring the perception of the stakeholder is given in EFQM model. Now, for an example, if I take, let's take an electric car company. So you see, the electric car company, they started with environment. What can I do to minimize the gas emissions, right? Then regulator, let's say in state of California or some country, regulation comes in that you cannot have emissions more than this level. So this company has to take care of these things. Or when Tesla started, competition started. Then other companies started going green towards these things. So these factors we are very good in using as quality professionals. Now let me go to the operating level. Same, the electric car company, they are designing the car, right? While they are designing the car, they need to consider the principles of circularity. You see, design is fundamental. Once you have designed it, you cannot undo it. You make omelette and that's it. So when the designer is designing, keeping the principles of circularity, they have to see how are the components. Can they be repaired easily? If multiple people are using the product, take for example, rent-a-car company or Airbnb or Netflix, they have to design in such a way anybody can use it. They also have to design for durability. Now, when the designer is making the car, they have to see how much material extraction is taking place? How will it be disposed of? Will it affect the landfill waste part of it? Is it dangerous? I was talking to Mr. Eric Hiller, ex-chairman of American Society of Quality. Dr. Ayad knows him quite well. He used to work for BMW in the United States. He said 15 years back, BMW decided to remove all lead-related components from their car to make it safe for the workers. And that means you are not extracting lead, right? Now procurement comes in. You see, we always buy new. Suppose there's a factory or a company, let's say there's a company in service industry, they're buying laptops. Do they have a policy to buy used laptops? I don't think so. Now, if there is a laptops which has a usable life left, is it safe? Company has to change the policy to go more circular. Instead of buying new laptops, they are buying laptops or similarly servers, other gadgets or furnitures. So procurement, you experts are with the corporates to review the procurement policy in supporting of the circular economy. Identification, traceability. Now there is something called material passport. Maersk shipping line is manufacturing ships from used steel and other components, motors and engines. But that material passport should say how safe it is, how much is the residual life left. So this is where you see a lot of value and interface between circular economy and then there are these clauses which we are all very commonly familiar with there. Sorry, it's not that. One second, we're just moving the slide. Yeah.
All right, so let's look at the business models that will help us to transit to a circular economy. So here's our linear model. You know, it's expanded a little bit here. So we design the product, we get sources for it, we manufacture it, we transport it, we do sales and marketing. It comes to the user and then end of life. So let's see what business models we can use to go circular. So let's take this orange lines, for example, that is a product service systems. This applies, you see, on the user stage and at every stage actually as well. So here we are selling a service rather than the product itself. Let me give you an example. You know, before we used to buy cassettes and CD discs, right, to listen to music, to watch movies. Now we have different applications like Spotify, Netflix, right? So we removed ownership. So instead of a product, we have service. And so in this case, we don't have to produce that many discs anymore, right? So we reduced pressure on Earth. Let's take green lines. This is all about product life extension. So here we want to increase the life of the existing product, so we don't have to, again, to produce more and extract more materials. How can we do that? First, repair and maintain. Nowadays, it's very often it's easier and cheaper actually to throw away and buy new than find someone who can repair things. So that's a business opportunity here, right? Upgrade. I was just thinking, a phone. Yeah, instead of changing the entire phone, can it be upgraded? Even the look can be upgraded, right? We can just change it how it looks, and rather than changing the entire thing. Resell. Here you see the line goes back to marketing and sales. This was, just recently they opened the second-hand airport in Finland. Remanufacture. Yeah, you see this line goes back to logistics and manufacturing. We can return the products to the producers. You know, Renault, for example, they opened an entire factory called Refactory. They remanufacture old cars. let's take the blue lines. Blue lines is a resource recovery model. So here, whatever waste is generated by end users and also at the logistics and manufacturing stage, this all goes back to the sourcing. Let's take the red lines. That's my favorite, although they're the shortest. Here, we want the producers initially to make quality product that would work for long. And apart from that, we want the producers to think, what should we do with the product when it doesn't work anymore? You know, there is a project called Circle House in Denmark. In their documentations, you know, you can literally see how you can connect the building blocks in a way that you can disassemble it instead of demolishing. You know, it's like a Lego, entire building, you know. And in this case, the point is that in this case, the source of the material will be the existing building, not the earth again, right? So to build another house or to use it for anything else. Here's a purple line that is sharing models. Here we optimize usage of the product. Now I want to ask you, just think about it. How many of you have a power drill at home? I have one, let me admit. And how often do you use it? You know, statistics say that a power drill is used 13 minutes in its entire life. 13 minutes, and recall that graph that we show in the beginning. So all of that is taken from Earth, you know, so the power drill is peacefully laying down, is in our drawers, not being used. So why don't we share it, right? We can rent it, use it, and give it to somebody else. Car sharing platforms as well, that's a great example. Or Airbnb platform, yes, instead of building more and more hotels, why don't we use empty apartments? Now I have a question to you. That's an interesting question. Also my favorite. What do you think? Like, what is the most important stage in that base? Like, what do we have to focus on to go circular? Is it a design, or sourcing, or manufacturing, or maybe logistics, or marketing and sales? What is that product? Product use or disposal? Please select. It's a one option. And yeah, please rejoin. So the QR code is here on the screen. Okay, so yeah, once again, so what do you think? What is the most important stage where we have to focus to go circular?
I think disposal from my side.
All right, that's interesting. Thank you very much for your opinion. Let's see what other participants think. Please select, yeah, it is a design, sourcing, or manufacturing, or logistics, or maybe marketing and sales. I was in marketing and sales before. Okay, well, that's interesting to see. Design, sourcing. Nobody actually answered the disposal except Dr. Hussein. Yeah, well, I'm actually very happy to see that, because whenever we, you know, talk about sustainability, we really tend to think about waste, how to recycle. And indeed, it's actually important, but the entire problem starts actually with the design. It's very simple, right? You open a chocolate bar, right? What do you do with that wrapping? The fact is that there is nothing you can do. It is designed to be thrown away, and everything, take from shampoo bottle all the way to buildings, roads, you know, all of this is designed without that important question in mind. What happens to this at the end of its life? So that's true. Like, the problem starts with the design, and the solution should start there too.
Yeah. Thank you. You know, since the start of this webinar, we have been talking about material. But how about the services? Is circular economy also applicable in services? Yes. You see, there are a lot of services. Even waste collection, recovery, and disposal is a service. Repairing a car is a service. Trade. So much of material moves on the ships and cargo planes. Is in services like calibration. So there's an initial investment of material, and also during that also. I send my car for repair. When I bring it back, you'll find used components lying in the boot. What do I do with them? So in short, if you are in service business, circular economy principles are applicable to you. Now, we give it to Marina to ask you another interesting question.
So now, we want to go circular, right? So for us to understand any improvement, as Sunil said, we want to see data. So what do you think? How circular is the global economy right now? Please mark it on the slider so we can see also how optimistic you are. Okay, we have some answers here, 10%. Okay, interesting. Anybody else? So we can see what is the average. Okay, we have 16, 19. Okay, interesting. Okay, so we have average of 19, okay, 17. Have very realistic audience here actually today. Thank you. Okay.
We had situation people saying 80.
Oh yeah. All right, so let's see the answer. So according to the latest circularity gap report, we are 7.2% globally. That means out of all the materials we take from Earth, we put 7.2% back into the economy. And let me tell you, so that means that more than 90% of the materials are either wasted or lost or just unavailable for reuse. Like, for example, take buildings and roads. So we build them, we say that the materials are stocked. We build them and we cannot reuse them for a long time. And let me tell you, circularity is declining. It was 9.1 in 2018, dropped down to 8.6 in 2020, and this year reported as 7.2%. So I'm asking myself, and you must be asking this question too, at what level it should be for a significant change? Circular Economy Organization is targeting 17% by 2032. And that will be enough to avoid climate breakdown. Let's see what happens when we adopt circular economy principles. When we keep circulating materials in the economy, first of all, we reduce that take part. You remember that graph we saw in the beginning, right? We take less materials from the planet, so we do not degrade the land that much. We don't pollute soil and water that much. Then we do not have to make so many products, right? Again, we reduce carbon emissions related to that. We increase the use part, right? So we optimize use of the products, we reuse them again and again. And then if we don't dispose so many things, we reduce our waste, right? So again, we pollute less water and soil. Here's our planetary boundaries again. So it was counted. If we implement a circular economy, all the figures will come down to the safe levels. Here's another interesting question to you.
Yeah. We are able to achieve 100% circular global circularity by when? In how many years we will participate? Sorry, in how many years we will achieve 100% circularity? 40 seconds left. Will it be 20 years? Will it be 40 years? Or 60, or we'll never be able to achieve? What are your thoughts
This
on
is
it?
a forecasting question.
Sorry. Yeah, we have all experts here. No?
It depends. I don't know.
Yeah.
Mm.
So let's see if there's any response. We got 8 seconds left.
Maybe someone will say never.
Exactly. Let's see, look at the results. 2 people said 20 years and 4 people said never. You are correct. It is impossible, near impossible to do that. You see, for example, fossil fuels, there's nothing to put it back into the system. I use it, the gasoline, car runs, and it goes into the atmosphere. So never is the correct answer. Now let's go to some very interesting examples of how organizations are using circularity as a principle of circularity in their business operating models.
That's actually great news. We already have those companies that already adopted circular economy principles. So Toynova is one of them. It's a company in Colombia, and it's about used toys. You know, if you have kids, you know how much they lose interest to toys, and then how much they always want new toys, right? So, and then the usage of toys is not optimized, let's say. So Toynova collect the used toys and then rent them out or resell them. So families can exchange toys, you know, or get some services instead, whatever they need. So, and in this case, you know, the toys also become more affordable, so all family can benefit. And even schools and kindergartens work with Toynova. Now, let's see what the principles do they use. So they, first of all, they came up with a new business operating model, right? So usually toys are just produced and sold, right? That's it. Are they designing environment-friendly products? Not really, no, they're not designing anything. Are they focused on circulating products and materials at their highest value? Yes, I think that that's in the heart of their business. They also designed a service for reuse, and they're definitely reducing waste and pollution as a result.
Yeah, this is another one. I'm sure all of you drive cars, their family are driving cars. And I'm sure you also know a car manufacturing company called Renault. It's a French company, Nissan collaboration. Renault is the first company in the world to set up a circular economy based factory. They call it Refactory. It's near Paris. So what it does is, it does essentially 3 things. You see, it rejuvenates batteries. You know, the car battery has a huge environmental footprint, and disposal is a big issue. Recycling is a big issue. In fact, there's a global battery alliance working on how to improve the life of battery and minimize the lithium-ion components. So it gives life back and extends the life of the batteries. Secondly, what it does is, there are cars which have reached the end of their life. They take out the components. If they are fit for use, good for use, they recondition them and reuse them. And lastly, what they do is, they do retrofit, you know, recondition. So this is a beautiful example. Look at the leadership, look at the vision, look at the commitment of using principle of circular economy to produce a car. Now, you see what happens is, there's a very huge positive impact on the material extraction. You need less material to produce all this. Cost is less, and they are able to pass on this benefit to the user. And it uses these principles of circular economy, designing environment-friendly products. Just imagine the mindset of the designers there. Look at the thinking they have gone into creating something of this value, using products for a highest value, reducing waste and pollution fantastically. Yeah.
Here's another example. It's a town hall in Netherlands. So that's another building constructed like a Lego. It was easy to build, so the time of construction as well was significantly reduced. It's easy to dismantle. 90% of all the materials are reusable, and it's made of timber elements. Plus, this building has a passport. That's very important. So all the information, all the materials are basically listed in the all the components. So we can track where is the material came from, how long it is in use. So we can see how much of potential life in it, right? So again, in this case, this building will be a material depot for future buildings, not the earth.
Yeah. Let me share with you another example. I'm sure almost every one of you has a headphone, which you use along with the cell phone. There's a company called Repeat. They make very high-end headphones, but you don't own it. They own the headphone. That means the accountability and ownership remains with Repeat. So it's a subscription-based model. You take subscription and you can kind of rent out a headphone. Now, when they were designing the headphone, they designed in such a way that it can very easily be repaired. So you take subscription, take a rent out, and you use it, and you're going to give it back for an upper end model, or you can get it repaired from them. They will courier you the new headphone till it's repaired. So it's a very beautiful model of circular economy principles. You don't keep producing more headphones. You keep using and putting into the system, recycling them into the system. And this is a beautiful example of designing for reuse and disassembly. It's a very good model on circular economy. Yeah. Now we love standards. As I said in the beginning, I'm sure a lot of you there are experts in many standards. Now, my message on this is two. Based on your enhanced understanding of circular economy, read the existing standards of 9,000, 14,000, you will interpret it differently. I'm sure you'll be able to help your company, you'll be able to help your consult organizations better. Having said that, I saw organization in Geneva is working on standards on circular economy. I learned recently in the Circular Economy Forum, there are 200 definitions of circular economy. There are a lot of challenges of measurement around circular economy. What should be the policies on circular economy? So this new standard, 59,000 series is on the way, and they're all interconnected. The final draft version has been issued out for comment. And early next year, this standard will be released, and it will be a great opportunity for all of us to read, understand, use, and provide training consulting services.
Now, I like to think on this subject a lot. So we said that the problem starts with the design, right? And here I would like to actually make even one step back, and say that before the design comes human mindset. Like we humans, we naturally strive for success, right? And what is success? Very often we measure it with the things we possess, right? And more, better. Marketers want us to consume more and more. I had a phone for like 4 or 5 years. It was still functioning great, but people were making fun of me. It's too old, change it. So, more clothes, new phone, new car is, we consider it as a proof of a status for us, right? People look at you with a greater respect if you have a newer car, right? Why? Because that's how we measure success. like think what is the main index we look at when we talk about country success. It's a GDP, right? And what is fundamentally GDP is number of products produced and bought, right? And that's where it all comes from.
Yeah, very well said. So you see this, it is actually the mindset fundamentally, which is making all the difference and impact. And this goal number 12 is applicable to all rest of the goals of Sustainable Development Goals. So now we are at 2:27 at your time. So we will stop here and open the floor for questions. And then me and Marina will have some concluding thoughts, 2-3 minutes at the end. So over to you, Mr. Hussain, and thank you for your patient listening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sunil and Ms. Marina, for your valuable presentations. Really, it was very enjoyable and a lot of added values we achieved. Thank you very much. As a concept, circular economy is very interesting. But we will, when we can say for the circular economy, and please correct me what I understood from your presentation, is a model of production and consumption, which involves sharing and leasing and reusing, repairing and refurbishing and recycling existing material and products as long as possible. Is it right?
Absolutely.
If you can,
that's one part is absolutely correct. Yeah.
And
correct.
you are talking for the changing the mindset. I think this is the big challenge in the entities. You have to change the mindset.
Absolutely.
Yes, we need. Yeah. So now we will open the floor for the question. Actually, we have 2 questions here from Mr. Adil Shayban. This question to Ms. Marina. What are the effects of the international decisions on replacing clean energy in linear economics?
Yeah. Okay.
Is it clear?
Yeah, I'm just, yeah, it's clear. And thank you, Mr. Adil, for asking the question, and quite relevant, actually, as you say. You see, I don't think there's any alternate view that we need to go to cleaner fuels, whether it is solar, wind, and so on and so forth, the wind energy and all that, right? And put nuclear power plants in place and replace coal and fuel-based power plants, right? Now, the world is at each country or each nation is at a different stage of circularity and linearity. Let me give you an example of India. We are still power deficit country. Just to give you an idea, till yesterday, 147 people have died in India in the last 4 days due to extreme heat. And that has led to power shortages. Even in hospitals, there's no power to support people. Now, India has to depend on coal-based power plants to supply energy. A huge reserve of coal. It certainly has a huge impact on linear economy and footprint. On the other side, there are countries in Scandinavia and all, they're at a very different level. So in my personal view, whatever limited knowledge I have, each country has to evaluate its social, economic, environmental consideration to take a decision. You see, somebody said something very wise when I was attending this forum in Finland. One of the top guy from World Bank was there. She said, every major policy of the government should be looked at from circularity point of view, right? So I hope to some extent I have tried to answer your question, and I know it's a very complex and difficult subject, not direct easy answer. And the fact that UAE is hosting COP28 is itself a great symbol And even though we are one of the largest oil producers in the world, we have been given opportunity to host COP28 and focus on renewables here, right? So thank you, Adil. And which is the next question, Mr. Hussain?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Sunil. For the next question, just from Mr. Sultan Al-Marri. His question is, how can we achieve a balance between economic growth and environmental preservations within the framework of the circular economy?
Yeah, okay. This is also a very good question. You see, as Marina very rightly said, you see, currently a lot of measurement is around economics. When the bank is funding any project, they only look at the return on investment, cash flows, profit, and so on. They don't look at the footprint, ecological environment footprint. In fact, this question is on top of all the large-scale financing institutions, IMF, World Bank, Asian Development Bank, African Development Bank, etc., that we need a balanced growth. You see, we need to look at human development, education, health, well-being, sanitation, lifestyle, along with environmental or economic growth. I have a question for you. I'll again give the answer. Is it possible that we grow economically and we reduce our carbon footprint? You see, the mindset is the more economy, more material, more carbon footprint. The reality is different in Sweden. Sweden is one of the few countries in the world which has shown it can have economic growth while minimizing the environmental carbon footprint. So we need a wider lens to review our economic growth models and policies and look at socio-economic environmental consideration. Right? Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Sultan.
Thank you, Mr. Sunil. Also, just we have one question from Said Imran.
Yeah.
His question is, would like to know the scope and the applicability of circular economy in facilities management.
Yes, I'll take it. Okay, very good. Yeah, I think I understand facilities management, Mr. Said. You are talking of MEP works, if I understand, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, right? Or, around that, landscaping and all these things, right? You see, you need to go back. If you are working in that organization, you need to have few questions on the table. Number one, is there any other material we can use which has a lower carbon footprint? Number two, how do I extend the life of existing products, which I'm, putting into the practice? Thirdly, you may also ask yourself, how do I manage waste? That's the last part of the cycle. Last thing in the desired state in the circular economy, right? So there are a lot of questions you need to look at. What are you measuring? Do you have any measure around circularity? How much is the energy use? And what are we doing to minimize that energy use at different stages? So there are a lot of aspects around it. What I would request is you can also consider the life cycle perspective of the products and items which you are using in MEP. Yeah, right? Anything else? Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Said. Very good questions. Good food for thought. Yeah.
And also just one question from Adil Shayban, question or comment: circular economy will be the global trend over the next century, like the knowledge economy adopted by quality scientists in the last century?
Very good. Thank you, Adil, for asking. In fact, me and Marina had this in mind to share with you. You see, as per the projections of the World Bank and many other, it will be $1 trillion economy by 2050. You see, circularity has come from it was a concept 8-10 years back on. People are just thinking about it. Today, it has come to the center of this thing, and you are one of the leading organizations in quality who are talking about circular economy. Immense opportunity for people, professional, IT systems, standard systems will emerge. UN agencies, United Nations Environment and Protection Agency is working on it, World Bank, even fundings will be linked to that. Finland would be one of the first countries in the world, but 2035, entire economy will be circular economy. Yeah, thank you for asking that.
Yeah. Thank you, Sunil. Thank you, Marina. One question more from Walid Shihab here. Manufacturers sees the long life of the product is decreasing their chance to sell more product and gain more profits. How can we change this view?
Beautiful. Walid, you are a businessman. You see, this is a root of the change of the mindsets. As I said, on the balance sheet, apart from profit and loss, we also need to have some numbers around ESG, environment, sustainability, and governance. This was one of the hot topic for discussion. How can financing be there to support sustainability and circular economy? You see, if we continue to focus on only numbers, financials, we will pay a very big price on other dimensions of life, on social life and environment life. You see, circular economy is not frugal living that I have to sacrifice my lifestyle. That's the mindset we have to change. It is about living a healthier, better, happier, environmentally beautiful life. So corporates, apart from governments, government regulations are of course needed to drive change. But corporates have a huge role, and we individuals have a huge role to change our measure of success from GDP to Human Development Index, which very rightly had mentioned by Marina towards the end of the presentation. Yeah. Over to you, Mr. Hussain.
Thank you, Sunil. I think the big challenge is for our leaders here. What's your message, Mr. Sunil and Ms. Marina, for our leaders here in the entities, either of the governmental sector or private sector, towards the circular economy, and how to align this concept, circular economy, with the quality management?
Thank you. I'll take first. This is a very, very good question, actually. In fact, kind of a concluding question we had. You see, challenges are plenty. But as a lot of us do, and as our nice, great leaders here in USA, challenges are also opportunities. Number one challenge is mindsets, for example. Change the mindsets, even start with the conversation in the boardroom. Talk about circularity, talk about material traceability, talk about reusability, review the policies, and so on. Do we have any measure in the balance scorecard at the top on circularity? Have one. Second is from the government action. Governments have a very important role to have legislation to drive the change. UAE has a circular economy policy 2021-2031. It focuses on the 4 sectors of the economy. It's a green infrastructure, manufacturing, food, and transportation, right? So government has a role to put regulations and focus on them. Other is we all have to work together. Government alone cannot achieve it. Businesses alone cannot achieve it. We individuals also cannot achieve it alone. It has to start from home. It has to go to the government. Our policies have to change, processes have to change, measurements have to change, training programs have to change. You see, today, when I go to US and Canada and other countries, when I go to McDonald's, it tells me how much calories is there. Price is, let's say, $5 burger, and these are calories you'll get. We don't have it in many parts of the world, this number. Now, they should also have a number. How much was the life cycle footprint of this burger when it has come to the retail? So this life cycle perspective, which very nicely it's shown by Marina, should go into many products. You know, when I go to IKEA, for example, their barcode should tell me the carbon footprint of the product, so I can make a choice, actually. So it has to start at many places, but the good thing is conversations have started, measurements are there, a lot of reports are there, guidance is happening, and all this COP27, COP28, UN agenda, SDGs are measuring. So it's all a lot of steps in the right direction, but we need to speed up the execution, monitoring, and improvement. Yeah. Over to you.
Thank you, Sunil. I can add here, and please correct me, as a leader and responsible in the business, you have to understand the needs to play your part in tackling global challenges. I think that this is very important. And the environmental and government strategy must take into account the sustainability and the enormous cost of the waste, pollution, and carbon emissions. I think this is very important.
Yes. I will share one real example. There is in circular economy a concept called extended producer responsibility. You know, like producer manufacturers are responsible right up to the disposal of the product and all that. In one country, I don't want to name it, government is putting this policy in place, but there is a huge resistance from industry associations. They don't want to do it. You see, when green fuel petrol with the lower lead content was being introduced in many countries, there was massive resistance. There are no petrol pumps. How will I go to other city? Slowly, we adapted it. Same things will happen, and it has to happen faster. Yeah. So,
Alhamdulillah. And also, just Mr. Sunil, just to share with us, with our audience and with you and with Ms. Marina, Alhamdulillah, our country, Saudi Arabia, recently released its circular economy roadmap through the 2030 vision.
yes.
And to create a sustainable future for the country.
Yes.
I think the roadmap outlines 4 key objectives: reducing the waste, reusing materials, recycling resources, and innovating new products and process. So
Yes.
Alhamdulillah, we are in the right track, Alhamdulillah.
Absolutely. You know, I'm very happy to tell you, I was 2-3 weeks back in Qatar Economy Forum by Bloomberg. Your few ministers, honorable ministers were there, Minister of Oil and others. And this point had come up for conversation as part of the National Transformation Plan or 2030 agenda. I was very happy and very impressed to see this. Now, organizations like Saudi Quality Council and all can help a lot to take this agenda forward. You know, to do more of such events, build capability and competencies, guide your members to move in that direction. You see, in the end, it has to happen on the ground. These policies have to be cascaded through the corporate to individual capabilities and do it. And we'll be very happy to support your efforts. Me and Marina are committed to Saudi Quality Council and your community to help you do that. If you want to do a good workshop over there, we will come over there. Right? So
thank you.
We are impressed and happy what's happening at a government level over there.
Thank you, Sunil. Thank you, Marina. Just to share the next 2 slides here. But I need I'm sorry, just to share it in Arabic language.
Yeah.
للحضور طبعا الراغبين في الحصول على شهادة الحضور you can go through this link. الظاهر أمامكم في الشاشة. And for the الاستبيان الوطني الرابع للجودة، يسر المجلس السعودي للجودة أنه يعني الحمد لله أنه أطلق هذا الاستبيان، والدعوة موجهة للجميع لتعبئة هذا الاستبيان. وزي ما أنتم عارفين أنه يعني أهمية هذا الاستبيان ودوره الفاعل في المساهمة في قياس مستوى الجودة الوطنية نحو رؤية المملكة 2030. فآخر موعد لتعبئة الاستبيان 31 يوليو، ونتطلع لدعمكم جميعا. الحمد لله يعني نشاطات المجلس مستمرة. يمكن عندنا الآن إجازة صيفية في يوليو أغسطس، وسنة إن شاء الله we will continue إن شاء الله in سبتمبر أكتوبر نوفمبر ديسمبر. فالدعوة موجهة لكم جميعا إن شاء الله. في عندنا العديد من الملتقيات والمحاضرات الإلكترونية، تشرف بدعواتكم جميعا. At the end of this session I would like to give many thanks for Mr. Sunil and Ms. Marina for their contribution and participation with us. Thank you very much, Sunil. Thank you very much, Ms. Marina. And this is appreciation and gratitude from the SQC, Saudi Quality Council, assigned by Mr. Dr. Aid Al-Ghamri, the President of Saudi Quality Council. This is appreciation letter to Mr. Sunil and Ms. Marina. Thank you very much, and inshallah we will meet inshallah soon in our events for the SQC. Also, at the end of this session, I can close the session by saying disposal consumerism is a thing of the past. This is we can say at the end of this session, and also don't forget the التقييم اللي ظاهر أمامكم بالنسبة للأودينس، تقييم السيشن هذه فهي ظاهر الحين الآن أمامكم. I would like also to thank our audience for your contribution and attended with us. Thank you very much all. إن شاء الله نلتقي في الملتقيات قادمة. شكرا لكم جميعا.
اسمح لي دقيقة.
تفضل.
Mr. Sunil, Ms. Marina?
Yeah,
Nibal here, the translator. Just before we close this session, I just wanted to say that when I was in the 90s in my McGill University in Montreal, Canada, we used to have a recycling corner, recycling center at the bottom, at the main floor, the ground floor of the main building in the university. It was a huge campus, like tens and tens of buildings. And in that recycling corner, we used to have 10 bins with a special opening on top for whatever the bin was dedicated for. So a little round opening for the cans, a long rectangle opening in another bin for the papers, another one for the excess food only, another one for small batteries, 10 different bins for 10 different recyclable materials. And then bin number 11 is for anyone that cannot be, separated.
MashaAllah.
And this was in the 90s.
Yes,
I came from Canada to Saudi in 2000. So, so this awareness, as you said, mentality is very important. And some countries need to, as you mentioned, needs to speed up to reach that level of awareness. So thank you very much for what you contributed today. It's amazing.
Thank you, Nibal. Thank you very much for sharing. So I think now, apart from recycling bins, we can put, those bins for reusing actually. Not necessarily to recycle again. We can reuse, right?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Nibal, for your comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hussein, for this minute. Thank you for the conclusion.
Once again, thank you for Mr. Sunil, Ms. Marina, for our attendees. Thank you very much. See you, inshallah, in the next time. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Ayad and Mr. Nabil and all the audience.